Hi everyone, it's Paul here from the Marketing Centre. Today I want to talk about the astrology for August. So, astrology is going to be a month of a lot of changes, too many to mention all of them, so I'll just go through briefly through the key ones. So, the main ones to bear in mind are Uranus retrograde on the 2nd of August through to January 2nd, so the next 5 months or so Uranus will be retrograde. On the 7th of August we've got the first eclipse. This is the lunar eclipse in Aquarius, which opens the eclipse window. On the 12th of August through to the 5th of September, Mercury turns retrograde, initially in Virgo, but will move backwards into Leo on the 31st of August. Then on the 21st of August we have the solar eclipse in Leo. The following day the Sun then moves into Virgo, and on the 25th we have Saturn turns direct, having been retrograde since March, and we also have Juno turn direct the following day, and she's been retrograde for about 4 months. So those are just some of the key areas that we need to discuss. So at the start of the month we've got the Sun in Leo, having initially moved into Leo on the 22nd of July. So this is a continuation of the themes already outlined in the Sun Leo video. So this is developing the Leo qualities of our nature. So Leo is a sign of the kings, the lions, the king of Africa. So at its best, when we reach the high noble qualities of Leo, then we radiate qualities such as emotional warmth, generosity, beneficence, loyalty and mercy towards one another. And we also learn to engage with play. We develop our self-confidence, so we feel comfortable expressing ourselves. We're in touch with that creative spark within us, that creative divine force, and this flows through us and radiates outwards as a desire for creativity, and may even be a time of romance for some of us, or rekindling the spark of romance if for whatever reason it's faded a bit in existing relationships. So we had this is the Sun's passage through Leo. This goes up until the 22nd of August, when the Sun moves signs into Virgo. So Leo lays the groundwork of Virgo, because the thing with Leo is it's a very playful sign, and unfortunately players become very denigrated or frowned upon in modern society. Yet there's scientific experiments have shown that play is actually a fundamental part of who we are. It develops social skills. It's almost like an environment where we get to develop our problem solving abilities in scenarios where there's no stakes involved, there's no consequences to getting things wrong. We're just imagining a situation and then playing it out together without worrying about if it was right or wrong. Because if we learn to do this, then that puts us in a much better position to navigate the Sun's transit through Virgo, which begins on the 22nd of August and runs all the way through to the autumn equinox, when the Sun moves into Libra. And the Sun in Virgo is about refining those creative abilities that we developed in Leo. It's taking certain creative dreams that we may have and really working on them, just mastering them through refinement and through analysing how can it be improved. It's important that we avoid the pitfall of perfectionism, because with perfectionism we expect such a high standard that's unrealistic of where we are at the moment, that we end up just giving up before even starting. Whereas if we have a perception of improvement, whether it be of our creative projects, of ourselves, then we're already acknowledging where we're at the moment and the direction we want to be moving in. And this is the healthy expression of Sun in Virgo. And it's also developing greater self-honesty. Leo may do a lot of self-expression, but it can become like the typical blowhard if we're not careful. So Virgo turns more inward in some respects, but outward at the same time. So we become more focused on self-honesty, but whatever changes we try to make with ourselves, we must accept our apparent flaws with unconditional self-acceptance and self-love, because this is what prevents it from becoming relentless self-criticism, which quickly spirals out to criticising other people because they don't match the standards that we're failing to do, so, but we feel better by criticising other people. So it's important that we develop the humility and the self-love to allow us to figure out how can we become better versions of ourselves without putting ourselves down and without risking falling into the pits of shame and guilt, which don't help us to grow. They just keep us down and prevent us from becoming the best versions of ourselves. So that's what the sun's doing this month. Now, in terms of the eclipses, we've got the first one, which is a lunar eclipse in Aquarius. Now, lunar eclipses generally represent the time of letting go. It's the shedding of the old, where things from the past have already reached a completion, and holding on to them is not doing us any favours anymore. It's just holding us back, and we need to learn to... Aquarius is about learning to consciously let go of things and allow new things to take form, because I'm more often than not, up to a certain point, until we start turning inwards, our minds are filled with a lot of fixed thinking patterns that we just take for truth, but maybe they're not quite as accurate as we thought. So it's important that whatever our thought patterns are, we learn to consciously let go of them, especially the ones which disempower us and keep us from becoming the best versions of ourselves. And it's important to develop greater objectivity, so we don't become obsessed or jealous about certain things, and we also learn to expand our perceptions beyond just ourselves or our families. We learn to stop being clannish and open up our hearts to humanity as a whole, because we're all part of the same race, we're all connected together by the divine mind. But the reason we don't necessarily see that is because most of us at some point in our lives have gotten separated from the divine mind through just having a load of false beliefs in our minds which prevent us from opening up to the higher mind that connects us all and allows us to see things from a humanitarian perspective, where we're no longer interested in just self-interest, we're working for the good of the group. And then during the next 2 weeks, as we go through the window, we may find that certain situations start feeling like it's time to let them go, because eclipse seasons tend to bring about endings and new beginnings, and during the 2-week window between the eclipses, we may find a lot of things that we thought we needed start falling away in life. This then comes to the solar eclipse in Leo on the 21st of August. We've already had a new moon on the 23rd of July, and this was important in the sense that it gives us a dry run to become or embody the best qualities of Leo, which is what the solar eclipse in Leo asks us to do. It's to be an example of someone who knows how to accept love and can teach other people to accept love themselves, not through telling them what to do, but being an example. Because the best teachers are the ones who lead by example and embody what they teach. What they're saying is just an extension of who they are. It's not some philosophy that they espouse but don't actually follow. So part of it is also about lightening up. So if for whatever reason we have a bad view or negative view on play, we need to ask ourselves why, and we need to lighten up in life, because if we have any kind of self-esteem issues which prevent us from accepting love, then it's time that we work through these, because every single person on earth is worthy of love, and some people, they want to give love to us, but we're not going to understand or appreciate that if we don't know how to receive love and accept what the other person is giving. If we can learn to accept love of other people and give it back to them as well, then we form the basis a core foundation of healthy relationships, which is the mutual giving and receiving of love without either party questioning its intent, questioning whether it's trying to control them, or wondering if they're worthy of it. Because if both people feel worthy of love, and both will happily receive love of the other person and give love, this forms the foundation for all healthy relationships, but especially romantic relationships, because Leo does represent the romantic phase of any given relationship. And we may decide that we need to work on that if we're already in a relationship, and for whatever reason we just let the original spark fade. We can always have the choice to reignite it rather than just letting it fizzle out. So that's the solar eclipse. Now we've got two new retrogrades in August, as I mentioned at the start, and 2 retrogrades that are coming to an end. So the first one is Uranus in Aries going retrograde on the 2nd of August through to the 2nd of January of next year. Uranus connects us to the higher mind. It allows us to, when we work with the energies of Uranus rather than trying to keep all that change at bay, then we open ourselves up to direct revelation. Because the thing is, every single one of us has our own personal connection to the higher mind that links all of humanity together. There's not a single person on earth who doesn't have the potential to do this, but unfortunately so many of us have been so heavily conditioned to believe that we can't do it, that when someone does tell us we can do it, we just dismiss it. So during Uranus's retrograde of Aries, it's the focus of change and revelation and transformation turns inwards rather than outwards. So it's, instead of pushing for an outward revolution, we look at our inner world, look at where the barriers are within us. Because the thing is, everything starts off on the inside. We have to create it there first for it to happen on the outside. And Uranus gives us that revolutionary energy that helps us to break down the internal barriers. Because more often than not, it's the internal barriers that stop us from achieving something. It's not what's going on around us. What's happening around us is just a reflection of those same barriers that are within us. So the more we look at our own limiting beliefs or our fears, and we transform them through getting into embracing change in life, which then allows us to connect with our intuition more clearly, and this in turn makes it possible for us to receive direct revelation from the higher mind that is relevant to who we are. Because Aries is the I am consciousness, and since 2011 we've been seeing a lot of people waking up to the I am, but it's important this is not done in an egotistic way. We wake up to the I am that I am, and Uranus is breaking down some of the inner barriers that makes us underestimate who we are. Uranus has been showing us for the past almost 7 years now that there is more to us than we realise, and it's important that we connect with those parts of ourselves that we've either not realised is there or just taken for granted, because we can end up getting disconnected from parts of ourselves over the course of our lives through the conditioning experiences we've been through. Uranus's energy reconnects us to those disconnected parts of ourselves so that they can be reintegrated and get a more accurate version of idea of what our true identity is. So that's the Uranus retrograde. On the 12th of August, Mercury goes retrograde up until the 5th of September. This starts off in Virgo and finishes in Leo. Mercury retrograde in Virgo is the last retrograde in the Earth signs for about 6 years. So this particular retrograde is focusing on things like the material basis of life, our self-worth, it's our self-esteem, it's how we nurture our body. So this is things like our diet, it's our physical health, it's our daily routines. Are they empowering, or do they undermine our ability to get things done? It's our path of service. So do we have a path of service that is true to who we are, and do we have routines in place that nurture our physical bodies properly? So a reasonably conscious diet, sufficient exercise to keep the body strong, enough sleep to make sure the body can recover, and at the daily routines, like tasks that we do to keep life organised and make sure nothing gets out of control. Because the thing is, the more organised we are in the material basis of life, the more we open up the possibility for spontaneity in life, because the material side of things is sorted. If it's in chaos, then we can't really pursue our creative desires as well as we want to, because we're always getting distracted by trying to get things sorted materially based. So this is a time to really get the material basis sorted so that we can focus more on our creative endeavours. Because when Mercury moves backwards into Leo on the 31st of August, this will be a time to reevaluate our creative endeavours, our creative abilities, reevaluate our ability to give and receive love, and to feel that emotional warmth towards other people and radiate that to each other. And this goes on until the 5th of September, when Mercury turns direct again. After that, the next few retrogrades will all be in the fire signs as opposed to Earth, so it's important that we get the last one of the current Earth series out of the way in a constructive way, so that we become more organised, which allows us to be more spontaneous. Now, on 25th of this month, Saturn goes direct. So the past few months, since March, Saturn's been retrograde in Sagittarius, challenging us to evaluate where our beliefs cap our potential. Because Saturn is the guardian of potential. If we do not learn to take responsibility for ourselves, take responsibility for our minds, our beliefs, our actions, our words, then the potential that we can realistically achieve is capped until we start taking responsibility. And in Sagittarius, this involves evaluating the self-limiting beliefs and the ones that keep us separated from a higher power. Saturn really shows us where our beliefs limit us and prevent us from connecting with that higher power authentically, so that we do not need an external authority. We are our own authority through connection to higher power. And whatever we've found out over the past few months, this is a time to apply those insights and break free of the beliefs that no longer serve us. And the following day, Juno, who's been retrograde in Capricorn and testing or challenging our relationship ideals to see, can we actually live up to the ideals of stability, equality, fidelity and commitment in our relationships, or do we just say that but we still allow jealousy to colour our relationships and to undermine the foundations of them? Juno in Capricorn has been focusing on developing stable relationships, and the retrogrades has been trying to help us to see where either the actions of ourselves or partners, if we're in a committed relationship. This isn't just about romantic relationships, this could also be in business, long-term friendships that are more than just a casual meetup. Juno represents the most committed relationships, whether romantic, platonic or otherwise, and it's been seeing where we may not be upholding the values of loyalty, fidelity and commitment to the relationship when we may be espousing them, and shows where we need to make amends with this, so that our relationships can be built on a basis of equality for both members, commitment and fairness. And two more aspects to deal with this. One of them is a square between Jupiter and Pluto. It's going to be there the entire month, fading out towards the beginning of September. And this is a square between Jupiter and Pluto. This is the third and final square of a series. Jupiter and Pluto will square each other at the start of the year, so if we remember what it was like back then, when we may have had a desire to focus on pursuing success, but we do need to make sure that what we're doing isn't going to harm relationships. But at the same time, Jupiter in Libra, one of its pitfalls can be relying on people pleasing to maintain a fake sense of peace. Because if we're trying to achieve peace by undermining our own integrity and people pleasing, then it's not real peace, it's just a truce which will break down as soon as we're no longer able to maintain that facade. So it's important that we achieve true balance and true commitment from both sides, and learn to work with a true spirit of harmony, where it's not a case of fake harmony. There's that genuine harmony within our relationships, where we can tap into grace. This all starts on the inside. If we can bring our internal world to balance, then the same happens with our relationships, and we're better able to work in cooperation. This has been in square to Pluto in Capricorn, which has been showing the truth of things like career, reputation, and institutions which are generally seen as the bastion of society, though more generally speaking more material ones like banks. But Capricorn is also our personal integrity. To get the highest, radiate the highest level of Capricorn, our inner world, or the external version of ourselves that the world sees, must be an exact match of who we are. And Pluto's been showing us where the seemingly honest exterior that we've been shown covers up a whole load of deceit and lies inside. And it's been showing that the same within us as well. So we need to assess the shadow sides of ourselves and avoid allowing power plays and such as intense thirst for success to damage the relationships that we have that allowed us to get there in the first place. Because at its best, this allows us to overcome our shadow, become more empowered versions of ourselves, also work together in a genuine spirit of love and harmony, and not one that's just built on fake promises. The other aspect is a sextile between Jupiter and Saturn. It's going to be going on until October, but this is Jupiter and Saturn are opposite functions. Jupiter is expansion and Saturn is contraction, but they're both linked to faith in some respects. But with this aspect, we learn to appreciate the need for discipline and hard work in order to tap into grace. We don't just expect things to come our way. We learn to value discipline, we learn to value hard work and integrity, and we learn to value taking responsibility and empowering our beliefs through breaking the old ones down, and then working together to achieve shared communal goals which will empower the community as we move into the age of Aquarius, which is about conscious community. And this aspect helps us to see that there is value to discipline. It may not be the most pleasant feeling, but we can see that through taking steady, disciplined action, we create grace in our relationships that allows us to achieve far more than if we were just irresponsible and ruin relationships. We just expect things to work out for ourselves without doing any work whatsoever. So this has been a much longer report than normal, but I hope it's a useful gauge of what will be going on in August, because there is a lot of change coming through, and the more we know about it, the more we're aware, the better we'll be able to navigate it. Some of the things I covered, I'll be producing specific videos just for those things. This is just a general overview of the month and the sheer amount of change and transformation we can potentially expect if we use the energies wisely and consciously, and try to learn as much as we can about ourselves, the world around us. But most of all, we need to learn to lighten up as well. There may be a lot of change going on, but that doesn't mean that we have to become deadly serious and killjoys. The more we can embrace it with a playful spirit and an element of curiosity and play, and the more we can not take ourselves too seriously, the easier this transit is and this month is, because then we're not taking everything seriously, we're open and curious about things and willing to do things in a playful, fun kind of way, and that way we can learn lessons in a way that isn't going to feel too strange, isn't going to feel like one challenge after another. But our mindset determines the whole thing. The planets will not force anything upon us, they merely highlight the themes. If we can use those themes consciously and make the most of them, then August holds immense potential for growth and for transformation. and for becoming true to ourselves and authentic. May it bring you many blessings. Take care.